God, this intro just makes me so happy. Oh, man. Oh, that brings back memories. Okay. So, not gonna lie, just saw the trailer for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Got me super hyped. So I'm gonna start a playthrough of the original. Because I am super duper excited. Let's see here. I already know what I'm gonna do, so we're just gonna go ahead with this. This first video, I'm just gonna talk a lot about stuff. My experiences with the game, which this game came out 16 years ago, 2004. Like, think about that. It's an old ass game. Also incredibly broken, but as with a lot of broken games, there's just a lot of people who enjoy it. Okay, so there's 7 clans, and I've beaten this game as Gangrel, Tremere, and Ventru at least. I remember those 3. I remember playing as Malkavian. I don't know if I ever beat it as Malkavian. There's 5 different endings, so there's a lot of replay value. Also, you just build your character in specific ways. There's a lot of different ways to go about doing your playthrough. I'm actually doing this, 1, because I'm hyped, and 2, my buddy Reggie wants to watch me play this. And he said Toreador, so I'm gonna go Toreador. Okay, so here you go. Toreador picture themselves as artistes and visionaries, and they value the high society mentality that the Camarilla reinforces. Of all the clans, the Toreador are the most connected to the mortal world through arts and entertainment. Toreador are beautiful creatures, svelte and seductive, and move almost effortlessly through the society of the living. Toreador's empathy is both a gift and a burden. All humanity shifts are doubled, so you see up here, I have humanity. And the lower my humanity goes, the higher the chance of my character going into frenzy when I take damage, which means you just go crazy, you lose control of your character, the beast within you fights to survive. I forgot the music eventually cuts out. That would have been nice. Should have done this now. Oh well. So basically every time I gain a humanity, I actually gain 2. And every time I lose a humanity, I lose 2. I'm trying to think what else there is. You might have fewer dialogue options if your humanity's too low. Keeping your humanity high is not super hard. Some of your decisions will have one way or the other, like an effect on humanity, like whether you do something that someone else is going to get hurt from, or you help somebody escape or something. That's going to have a positive or negative effect on the quest, but also your humanity too. So there's something you gotta consider. And over here we have these Masquerade Masks. Ha ha ha! Vampire the Masquerade. I see what you did there. So you start with 5, and each time you violate the Masquerade, someone sees you turn into a bat, or someone sees you biting somebody. Like any time you hurt the Masquerade being vampire society at large. Every time you break that, someone sees you do superpowers. You lose 1. And as you lose these, a couple things happen. The vampire hunters start hunting you. You'll be going through the city hub, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a hunter with like a torch and like a crossbow, and like the stereotypical vampire hunter will be out there, and you have to deal with that, and so on and so forth. There's a few opportunities to gain it back. So like, just because so it's not like, oh, I only have it's 5 strikes and I'm out. In a way it is, though, because if you do scratch these 5 times, the game just ends. You're executed because you did bad. You didn't uphold the Masquerade. You didn't do good. You're too much of a liability, and we're gonna have to put you down. And one of the things about this game is it is incredibly buggy and incredibly broken. The studio went bankrupt towards the end of development, I think. Like they pushed it out. It was like the last thing they could do is push the game out. So there was a lot of things that needed fixed that they couldn't do, polish, that kind of stuff. They pushed out one official patch, and that was like all they could muster. However, there's actually a college professor who, for the last 16 years, has been pushing out unofficial patches in his off time. And that's rad as hell. Like, and he does different tweaks. Some things he'll take out and put things in, and like just different versions of the game, basically. I do recommend, if you're going to try and play this game, find the unofficial patch and the latest version of it. So something that's in the unofficial patches is this history. And basically what this does is changes the character sheet in some way. And before we go any further, I'm just going to shoot over here. So each clan, depending on the clan you pick, you'll have a different spread of how many points you can use. I think everyone gets 3 for attributes, 6 for abilities, and 1 for disciplines. So for Toreador, they have 2 points. They get to spend 2 points in social, 1 in mental, none in physical. And then for abilities, you have 3 in talents, 1 in skill, 2 in knowledges, and these do different things. So physical, obviously, that's strength, which you'll see it highlight on the right hand side. So you do a point, like, actually don't have a point in strength because that's physical. So you'll see whenever you upgrade your strength, unarmed combat and melee combat go up. Unarmed combat, that's just your fists. Pretty self-explanatory. Melee combat is when you have a melee weapon. It's pretty self-explanatory. Dexterity affects lockpicking and sneaking. Again, that's pretty self-explanatory. Sneaking, you're noticed less, and lockpicking is, I don't believe it's not like Skyrim where there's like a little mini game. I think it's just whether or not you can lockpick. I think it's just a flat yes or no, depending on what your level is what locks you can lockpick. Stamina is your bashing soak damage. Soak damage is how well you take damage. Bashing is like any kind of melee physical hit. Lethal is stuff like, actually, I wonder if that, yeah, okay, here we go. So bashing is bullets and blunt melee. I didn't know it was bullets too. Okay. Blunt melee weapons. That's also body armor affects that also. Lethal is bladed melee weapons. I believe this also counts as claws too. Oops. Oh no, that's aggravated damage. That's like the supernatural. That's claws, fangs, fire, electricity. And so it looks like you can only soak bashing and lethal damage, or you can use armor to mitigate bashing and lethal damage, which is very good. Aggravated is literally only supernatural means. Like you're a vampire. Fire is bad, okay? Claws and fangs, like from other baddies, that's bad stuff. You're gonna need something more than just body armor to soak that. Okay, so then your social, you have charisma, which affects your persuasion. When you're talking to characters, you'll have different dialogue prompts come up. So you can persuade, seduce, intimidate certain characters during certain dialogue situations. So charisma helps with your persuasion. Arguably, I think that's probably one of the most useful ones, because you can just sweet talk your way in and out of stuff. Manipulation affects the haggle trait, and that's it increases what you can sell items for, and it decreases prices at shops. Kind of useful. There's a limited number, like it's a linear game. There's a limited number of cash you can get in the game. Like there's no way to just materialize money. So it's somewhat useful. It depends on how much you actually want to buy stuff. You don't really get armor given to you. You kind of have to buy armor. You can kind of find weapons, but if you're going to go the gun route, you're going to need ammunition. So, like, you know, you're going to... A little bit of help there is nice. Appearance affects your seduction rate, and really, seduction has a... not a minor role, but there's not a huge... it's not the most useful trait. In each city, each hub, you go to the club, there's a young woman there. I believe the community just calls her a blood doll. You basically seduce her once, and once every time you complete a quest or whatever, you can just go talk to her again, and you get a free feeding, basically. It's an easy way to get some free blood. But only, I think it's like every quest. I think it's every quest. Because if you try and go back before doing a quest or doing something, her blood gauge doesn't reset and you accidentally kill her, depending on how much blood you take. So it's fairly useful for free blood. But also, if you're really sneaky, you don't really need that. Because like you follow someone into a back alley, you just get blood that way. So it's give and take. It's somewhat useful, but... you know. And here's the mental tree. And as you can see, perception affects ranged combat and inspection. And ranged combat is your... Actually, let's mouse over here. What I will say is, it's funny, because there is a crosshair. But if you're bad at ranged combat, it doesn't matter where you point that gun, the bullet's going to go wherever it feels like. It's actually pretty funny. So if you don't have very high ranged combat, guns are not very useful because it's just going to shoot wherever. And the inspection trait is how easy it is to notice stuff, hidden stuff. If your inspection trait's high enough, a lot of items will have like a glow or like a particle effect. So depending on what level your inspection rate is, you'll notice stuff easier. Again, stuff doesn't really move. Stuff does not move. Playthrough to playthrough. So if you know where everything is, it's pointless to level your inspection. Intelligence is your intimidate skill and your research skill. Research, you need a certain level of research. There are books in the world that will increase your skills, and to use these books, you need to have a high enough research skill, and your skill for that skill needs to be at a certain level. Like there's a book for computer skill, and what you need, like, I think you need 0 skill in computer, or maybe 1. We'll say 1 for example. You need 1 skill in computer because it will raise it from 1 to 2, and you'll need a certain level of research. Maybe research 1, maybe research 2. I can't remember exactly, but in order to make use of that book, you need to have the correct intelligence or research skill and the correct computer skill. And if you're already over it, that book's kind of worthless. Okay, so what Wits does, and that's combat defense, and I believe that's just all types. Yeah. So basically being able to shrug off any kind of damage. And also hacking. And what hacking is when it's literally hacking a computer. Again, the passwords don't change, so if you know all the passwords, hacking is literally useless. But if you don't know all the passwords, then hacking can, depending on what your hacking skill is, you can get certain passwords, get access to certain stuff. It's again, it's pretty useless if you know all the passwords in the game. So if you don't want to spend points on something that you can just look up online, then don't bother raising your hacking, because you can just do that thing. Okay, so that's what the attributes are, and your abilities are also fairly self-explanatory. Brawl is unarmed combat. Dodge is combat defense. Your ability to shrug off damage again. Intimidation is literally just intimidate. You'll notice that attributes usually raise 2 skills at a time, for the most part. Well, sometimes, some of them. Okay, maybe not. Okay, some of them raise 2. Talents raise 1, it seems like. Intimidation's another one for dialogue prompts. Probably of the 3, Intimidate, Persuasion, Seduction. Intimidate is probably the least useful. You're not really able to intimidate a whole lot of NPCs. Subterfuge is literally just seduction, which I already talked about. Firearms is ranged combat. Melee is melee combat. Security is lockpicking. Okay. Stealth is sneaking. Computer is hacking. Finance is haggle. Investigation is inspection. Scholarship is research and persuasion. That's a double one. Okay. Cool. That's neat. I didn't know that one was double. Okay. So that's the breakdown of abilities. Or abilities and attributes. Disciplines are your superpowers. So, yeah, awesome stuff. So, we have Auspice, which is enhances your mental faculties and allows you to see the auras of those around you. All levels of Auspice cost 1 blood and carries no risk of violating the Masquerade. And I think as you level it, it just... Oh, no, it does go up. It does do other stuff. Okay. So you can use this whenever you want, and no one's gonna even know you're doing it. And what it does is adds points to Wits, and later on it adds some to Perception. Yeah. So basically, if you need Wits or Perception, it's a decent ability, which, again, Wits increases your combat defense and hacking, and Perception is inspection and ranged combat. So if you're doing a ranged build and you need help with your accuracy, pop Auspice before you go into a gunfight, and it might help you out. I believe ranged combat affects accuracy and damage. Okay, so it also affects your damage. So that's actually not a bad one. And also, like, highlights stuff. So you can see stuff through walls and stuff like that. Celerity, okay, is literally just increases your movement speed. And all of them, except for the first level, is obviously you're doing something funky there. You're moving real fast. So it's a Masquerade violation past the first level. And I don't think you can change which level you're going to use. So, like, if you level it past the first one, it's just going to... It's going to be a Masquerade violation. So this one's decent for combat, because then you can literally run circles around stuff. If you're doing, like, a melee build, this one's probably going to be pretty useful, because you'll be able to, like, dodge and get out of the way and, like, flank and stuff like that. Also, just getting from point A to point B. If you're going to bypass combat, like if you're trying to get out of a sticky situation, that's probably decent too. And presence is the dread presence of a vampire. Strike mortal fear into the hearts of their opponents. Reduces enemies' effectiveness in combat. All levels of presence cost 1 blood, and no risk of violating the Masquerade. Because I guess unless I guess because it can't be traced back to you. Okay. So what? Basically, suffer penalty of strength, wits, and perception with a reduced rate of attack. So it's like a slow and like a debuff kind of thing. Larger radius, victims suffer 10% chance to be mesmerized. So that flat out prevents them from acting. It's like a stun. So yeah, this one's again probably better for melee builds. I think for Toreador, I think I'm gonna run a firearm build. So I think that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna probably do a firearm build. So that's what that sheet looks like. And basically here are your histories, and these all do different things. I believe the Toreador... Okay, so the first history is homosexual. That's pretty obvious. I believe Toreador you get more blood from the opposite sex. But if you do this history, then it's swapped. So you get more blood from like if I'm going to play a male character, it's going to get more blood from a male NPC. So there's no other real, that's literally the only thing on there. There's no other benefits or switcheroos for that. So Teamster it swaps the priority of abilities to physical, social, and mental, which is up here. So instead of being social, mental, and no physical, it's physical, social, and mental. It's kind of weird for Toreador, so that's not really super useful. Degenerate Gambler swaps your attributes to mental, physical, and social instead of social, mental, physical. Rehab Counselor, abilities, skills, knowledges, and talents. So it basically swaps it swaps the priority of stuff. Velvet Rope Doorman, Rapacious Bloodlust. You start with an extra point in strength and brawl, but you are more likely to frenzy. Your impatient demeanor makes stealth more difficult. It takes more experience to raise your stealth ability. Not super good for like a social butterfly, so I'm not gonna do that one. Beautiful monster. Okay, your presence lasts longer than other Toreador, but you can never raise wits above 3, and you're more likely to frenzy when things aren't going your way. Again, not very useful for Toreador. Uncanny awareness. You receive greater benefits from Auspices and can maintain its effects longer. Unfortunately, the sheer volume of information makes you more deliberate than most. It costs you more experience to raise your Celerity discipline. So it's like buffs your Auspice, but nerfs your Celerity. So not that great. Fey-like. Your presence and Celerity have greater duration, but you are a truly delicate being. Costs more experience to raise your stamina, strength, firearms, and intimidation. And I'm not digging that one, honestly. Starving Artist. Lid with the clothes on your back and poor. You don't have any clothes. You do have a special eye for small details, though. It doesn't say what it is, but I imagine it has something to do with your inspection. This is, again, a feature that they decided to take out of the main game. So it's like this. The unofficial patch put this back in. It's not super. Not super all there. Okay, so police force. You start with a bonus to firearm skill. However, you quit the force after receiving a crippling injury while in line duty. Your dexterity cannot be raised above 1. Okay, that's kind of good for what I want, but dexterity can't go above 1. You start with a bonus to the firearm skill. So it literally gives me 2 bonus points. Okay, that's really nice. Holy cripe. But dexterity, which hurts my sneaking and lock picking. So if I'm trying to be sneaky, that's not going to help. Okay. So I wonder if I can mitigate that. I wonder if I can... Because lock picking, security, and sneaking is stealth down here. I'm trying to think. Because there's certain parts of the game where stealth really comes in handy, but also you can't talk your way out of everything. You can talk your way out of some stuff, but there's some things that are more useful. Okay. You know what? I'm actually going to go without any histories. Let's do a completely vanilla run, because like this literally, like, this makes things really interesting. And also, these histories are different for each clan. So, like, if you want to play, like, a scholarly Bruja, which is really weird, but, okay, you do you. I'm sure there's a history kind of like that. At the very least, all these ones that just swap your priorities, I'm pretty sure every clan has, like, every combination that they offer. So I'm actually going to go with 0 histories. The X-SWAT looked interesting, but I'm not going to, I'm just going to go with vanilla here. Okay, so the thing to remember is while you're leveling up, the amount of EXP to raise each of these little dots here increases like a lot as you level, like to the point where you're gonna need a lot of EXP to get that 5th one. So So what you want to do is, all these points are free at the very, very beginning. So what you want to do is, it does not benefit you to like broaden your, like, to like try and disperse your points. You want to sink all your points into a single category to get the most out of it, because it's going to cost you more EXP to raise stuff later. So you're better off just dumping them. Like these 2 points in social, it would really benefit to put them in the same category. Okay. So for social, I have charisma, manipulation, and appearance. Now I do want persuasion's good, manipulation's for haggle, and seduction. Okay, so if I'm going to run a firearm, I'm going to want to be able to buy stuff, but also being able to get free blood is also very useful. And persuasion gets you in and out of stuff. So as a Toreador, like they're very useful. I think early game, I think persuasion would benefit me more. So I'm going to sink it. I'm going to raise my charisma all the way to 3. Yeah, because I can always, like, getting a second level in manipulation or appearance would cost me way less. And 3 will get me through the early game pretty easy, I think. Okay, so your mental, ranged inspection, research and intimidate, combat defense and hacking. Okay, I'm gonna go, if I'm going with a ranged build, we're gonna need both, at least that ranged combat. So I'm gonna go ahead and do perception. Okay, so talents, we got brawl, dodge, intimidate, and subterfuge. Okay, so I already said I'm not really too worried about melee combat. So combat defense, that's just my ability to shrug off damage. That's pretty useful. Intimidation, as I said before, is not really very useful. So I'm not too worried. I'm not gonna worry about that at all, honestly. And subterfuge, it's a good way to get blood early. Okay, so we're actually gonna go with subterfuge. That gives me a seduction of 4, so I'll be able to get some blood pretty easily. Also, it's a Toreador. Their symbols are rose. Like, okay, yeah, okay, like, yeah, just do that. Just do that, yeah, okay. Skills. Okay, so firearms, melee, lockpicking, and stealth. As I said before, I'm going with a ranged build, so I'm gonna like try and raise this up, get my ranged up like as much as I can at the start. So we're gonna go do 1 in firearms. Knowledge is hacking, haggle, inspection, research, and persuasion. So persuasion's also again, persuasion's good. So we're gonna do that. That also raises my research up. So if I could find some of those books, and it'll tell me what the requirements are, but like if I can get a free point somewhere else with that research skill, hell yeah, just do that. Okay, now for the disciplines, I'm going to go ahead and be honest here. Presence is okay, but it's mostly, like, you have to be up close to make some use out of it. And it's not, I'm being able to mesmerize somebody, that's pretty good. But I don't see myself using it that much. I feel like I'm going to be using either the speed or the Auspice more. So I'm going to actually go with Auspice. Because that also, again, that's going to help my ranged combat a little bit whenever I pop it off. So yeah. And just to show you guys, there's a male and female. Boy, these models were really good 16 years ago. Not so much now, but I am going to play a male character because I am a male in real life, so I'm going to go with this. I mean, just look at this guy and tell me he's not a vampire, though. You can't tell me that. Okay, anyway. That's what I'm rolling with. And I think I talked plenty. I think I talked enough. So that's what we're going to roll with. And I'm probably going to start you guys off in the next video with the intro to the game. So yeah, look forward to that one. Good night.